I don't know if I'm getting a knock on the door from the sheriff. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what's happening there. I don't know what's going on. All this other kind of stuff. I don't know if I come home one day and my wife's going to be gone. Tell you what, until the doc says, you got cancer, or you got this, or you got that, you don't know what powerlessness is.
Hey, welcome back to Reaching for Answers, the Road from Emmaus. I'm Bob Sill, here with...
I'm Angelo Pampina.
And we are back for
Ruggieri.
part two. Let me introduce you, okay? Let me do the intro.
Yeah, don't take his job,
Don't take
Frank, please.
Look,
please.
he's already trying to take a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's already pushing and shoving to get in.
Now we're going to have a grievance filed, but anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Are you the grievance? You're the grievance guy?
Yeah, I hear the grievances.
Okay. So we're here with Frank Ruggieri, who you may remember in part one, talked to us very boldly, very directly, very sincerely about a part of his life that I guess was full of problems with addiction. Is that okay, Frank? Can I say it that way?
Fair, yeah.
And what you went through in order to get to where you got at the end of that, and how you, with God, kind of got that under control and beat that. And it's a remarkable story, and I would ask everyone here to prepare yourself for this part two, by watching part one, because it's truly, we've gotten a lot of feedback, a lot of comments from a lot of people that were really helped by that, Frank.
Good.
Angelo, anything in that direction?
Just such a joy to have you back, Frank, and such a blessing to have you here. And yeah, a lot of great feedback. People really enjoyed part one, and my cousin Kathy can't wait to hear part two. So,
Okay.
And part two,
a lot of
I think
excitement out
the
there.
remarkable part, and we wrapped it up in part one, was that you thought that the 20 plus years of whatever you went through in part one was it. Like God worked through you, in you, with you, and you were coming out the other side in pretty good shape. Mm-hmm. But as you found out, that was just prep work, because the real problem and the real challenge came like right near the end of part one. So why don't you tell us, kind of pick us up, and if you can go back to maybe when you got the diagnosis, might be a good place to start.
Well,
or go ahead, or tell us where you go.
You know, the interesting thing is, so in 2003, I put down the alcohol and other substances, and then, began on my journey to build a relationship with God. That was what I decided to do. And I did that. And of course, there was a lot of damage. There's a lot of wreckage from my wild days. But usually over time, I would go to meetings and people would talk about things getting better, and more things like relationships and finances and things of that nature. But for the first almost 12 years, 10 plus years, it was hard. My wife was so upset. Financially, things weren't getting much better. A lot of challenges, a lot of issues. And it was funny. I look back on it now, not how funny, but strange funny. All I had, God took everything from me except him. My wife, I was estranged. We were together, but we weren't. My family, my daughter, and I mentioned this last time, I kind of robbed them of security, so there was that issue. Money, just things were really tight, really bad. Utilities being shut, all this kind of stuff. And I'm wondering, when's it going to get better? What's going to happen here? When's these promises coming? But in the meantime, what I didn't realize was I was growing, I was getting stronger. My daughters were learning some valuable lessons in how to deal with life. Lisa was being put into a situation where she had to go to God.
Your wife.
My wife. She started working at the church and did the RCIA and be converted to Catholicism and all that great stuff. Now she leads faith formation for her parish. So God's timing is very different than ours. We think, well, hurry up, let's go, let's get this done, let's get there. But he knew it was going to take me a while to get there. So for those 10, 12 years, things are the way they are. Jobs coming and going, things are crazy.
10 or 12 years.
10 or 12 years.
Years.
Almost 12 years.
Yeah.
Actually 12 years. So in about February of 2015, after going through some jobs and being out of work again the last time for a little while and just wondering what the heck, I'm looking for jobs, looking. And I see there's a posting, and I look, and I go, like, I know this company. And I get a phone call. All this happens at the same time. And it's a company called First Insight. And Ron Shell works there. And they're looking for me. And I know the guy that's back in just put $60 million in his company. So I'm like, this is great. This is, so I go, Ron makes the introduction, meet with him a few times. It was I get the job. I'm super psyched. Decent money, a little bit of equity, health, everything. And I am just like, this is it.
The turn's being made.
This is it. I've got it coming. And of course now, the person that I thought we had slayed still had not been slayed. And little Frank comes back up and says, now I'm going to fix everything around me. Because Lisa was, Lisa was, hey, look, I put the woman through a lot. So I was like, but she was still there. And I said, I'm going to lay the law down with her, and we're going to be a certain way, because now I'm going to start earning the money again, and I'm going to wear the pants, and it's going to be my way, and that's going to be it.
Italian Frank is back on the job.
Frank's back there.
In control.
It's all good. It's all good. And hey, you know what? I can make this work. About that time, I get a little tickle in the back of my throat. And I always had bad sinuses when I slept, so a month goes by maybe, and it's just getting worse. I go to the doctor, go to a different doctor. My doctor moved. So I go to a different doctor. He looks at me. I don't like this doctor anyway. And he said, hey, it's nothing. It's fine. Just take his stuff.
Hey, if you're watching, Doc, he likes you now. So
no, I really don't like that other doctor. I like the doctor I go to. But I find my first doctor and go back with him. So they take some tests. It's nothing. So then a month goes by. I get the job. I start the job April, May. It's getting worse and worse and worse. May retreat. Towards the end of May retreat in Emmaus, I corner Rocco Adams. I go, Rocco, take a look at my throat.
Who is a doctor?
Who's a doctor? He says, I can't see. But you better go to your doctor. So I make an appointment. It's the end of May with my doctor. I go in to see him in the morning. He looks at my throat, calls his nurse in, says, call Dr. So-and-so. He's an ear, nose, and throat guy right in the next building over. We're sending Frank up. I said, it's that bad? He goes, we're sending you up.
Not good.
I said, okay. So I go up and they do the biopsy and, you think it's cancer? And they're like, no, well, we don't know yet. Well, yeah, we all knew it. And so here we go, right? I'm sitting there and I get this news and, they biopsy, they don't know what's going on yet. My daughter's graduating from high school that Friday. All this stuff going on, and I'm thinking, I've got this job. What the heck's going on here? So finally I get the diagnosis. You have tonsil cancer, can send you to the surgeon, do this, do that, do all that stuff. I can meet with the surgeon. It's too big. We can't operate on it. We'll have to put this on there, that on there. We think, but let's check it out. So we check it out. It hasn't gone anywhere. It hasn't gotten on his bicycle yet, which is a good thing. If you catch it before it starts to spread. So that was a good thing. And it was HPV related. And I mentioned that only because two things. One, if it's HPV related, chances are the prognosis is better. Because it's caused by that
that
virus.
human papilloma virus.
Right? So she said, but the treatment, a lot of people don't make it through the treatment. They don't finish it. They don't do it. They don't go. It's really, really bad. 35 radiation treatments, chemo. It's really bad. And I'm thinking, so that all happens. It's a Sunday. I go to church on a Sunday myself, sitting in the front row, going, really? I thought I had gone through all this stuff. I thought, I finally got this job. Now this is happening.
You got the addiction under control, all that.
I get it. I get that I had to, pay my penance. What's going on? Really? I'm like, come on, God. And I heard a voice clear as day say, basically, you haven't seen anything yet. I got bigger miracles in mind for you and planned for you. Okay, great. Let's get it going. So I start down this path, and I walk in. My first meet with the doctors. Now, doctors tend to give you good news usually, right? They try to keep it good. I think the doctor said to me, "This is basically torture that we're going to put you through." The first doctor.
That was the opening line.
Yeah,
this is
opening
basically
line.
torture.
When I went to the
Great
oncologist,
bedside manner
Isn't
there.
that
Huh?
good? Yeah.
oncologist, he puts me back on the table. He says, "Open your mouth." He looked at my throat. Oh my God! He saw how big this thing was, left side of my throat. Good and bad, right? And here's why it's good and bad. If it had been down a little bit further and I hadn't seen it, I'd have thought it was just whatever. Because I always had that coughing and drainage in my throat and all that kind of stuff. I don't go to the doctor. Rocco don't catch it a little bit. That other doctor. Again, scenario where prayer to God, make it the best it can be. Given the situation, it's a situation. We all go through life. We need to be the best it can be. So they start the treatments. First couple weeks are fine. I'm going every day. Now, it gets worse over time, but I don't know if anybody's ever been in a treatment for this. Yeah, head and neck cancer. They can do miraculous things with lasers and with guided radiation. So they lay you on the table. I'm going to go to an MRI machine to do this, but they lay you on the table and they pin your head down and they put this plaster of Paris over your face. And you get this big mask. They call it the mask. And they actually bolt it, screw it down to the table so that you
Sounds
can't
like torture.
move while they're doing this. Now, the first few weeks, it's okay.
How long is the treatment? How long are you pinned to
You're
the
in there,
table?
a rosary and a half.
30 minutes.
So 30 plus minutes. Because that's what I would do. I would try and
Doing
pray
the
the
rosary. Oh,
in
nice.
there.
I got you.
Right?
Wow.
And the chemo is not good. Anybody's ever had chemo, it's not good. I didn't lose my hair or anything. I lost my facial hair on this side of my face, right? But I didn't lose my hair on my head. But after a few weeks now, the radiation is starting to change things inside your mouth, inside your throat. You can't swallow. You can't. Mucus starts to build up. You can't really breathe really well. I'm laying flat on this thing for 40, 45 minutes, gagging, and it's just horrible. And now your throat gets so sore you can't eat. Plus, one morning, I went to breakfast with my mom, went to Eaton Park, had something to eat, it was fine. That night, I went to eat dinner, tasted like cellophane, it tasted metallic taste in my mouth. The food's gone, you can't taste anything. I couldn't eat mashed potatoes. I couldn't open my mouth up enough to chew. The radiation is just so bad, so very bad. That, what they call that, uvula in the back of your throat there, burned it away, it's gone. Tonsils, both tonsils are gone, they burned it. So, that's, they said, you better get a feeding tube. So I go in and get a feeding tube. I lost, it's a funny story. I went in there. I'm dying now to like 170, but back then, before I went in there, I weighed about 205, 208, and the nurse said, "Well, it's good that you're a little bit heavy because I don't recommend it as a diet for anybody." I lost over 50 pounds
She said it's good. You're a little bit heavy.
Yeah.
because you're gonna lose weight.
Hey, she needs some more good news, right?
Yeah. So I lost over 50 pounds. My mom, God bless her, used to come over every day to take me to radiation treatment.
Wow.
And I'd go get fluids. I couldn't drink water. I couldn't do this. Couldn't swallow. Couldn't talk after a while. Obviously couldn't work. I've been in the company like 6 weeks and I'm like, 2 months and I can't go to work. How am I going to make this? What's going to happen now? What's going to happen to us? The guys, Greg Petro's the president, I'm going to say his name, could have told me to take a walk at any time. That man continued to pay my health care, continued to pay me, continued. And again, God putting the right people in your life, do some things. But it gets bad. And I'm in a lot of pain. And I don't want to take any pain medications because I don't have a good history, track record with this. And the docs are saying, you got to. The stress on your body from the pain, and if anybody's ever been through that, it's bad. So they're giving me oral oxycodone or whatever the heck it is, right? So I'm drinking it, and they give this stuff called magic mouthwash. It's got all kinds of different things in it to numb your throat and all that kind of stuff, but it just doesn't do any good. I'm still in a lot of pain. The radiation, the chemo brain, the radiation in your head and neck, I'm all foggy. I'm out of it. I'm calling people at 3 o'clock in the morning, not knowing what time, what day it is. I don't know what's going on here, but I remember the first time I called Bob. I'm done with the radiation. I'm moving on. Zubik had brought me back some rosaries from Ruggieri. So I'm praying these rosaries. And I'm living on the couch. And my wife would come on. I got this tube in. I got the food in. It's ridiculous. And sick all the time. And just, it's bad. And she would come out, I'd be like asleep with the rosaries in my hand. I wake up and I keep praying them. I wouldn't know morning, noon, night. I wouldn't know what the time was.
How long of a time was this, Frank?
Pardon me?
How long was this? Was this a month? Was this 2 months? How long were you
I would
doing?
say it started probably late August, early September, and went through that kind of stuff. Well, put it this way. I was able to finally eat a meal a little bit by Thanksgiving. Okay. So it was all of September, all of October, most of November, and a little bit of almost 3 months.
Yeah.
It was that bad. Now, that was where the pain really started to go away. At that point in time, it was manageable. Wasn't great, but I could manage it. Really didn't totally go away until after the first of the year, right? It was kind of a thing like that. But I'm sitting there, and I just kept trying to hold on to my faith that everything was going to be okay, that I would get through this. My prognosis seemed pretty good, so that, a lot of people get some prognoses that aren't real great, right? So I was blessed from the perspective of this should work, right? You should be okay. It's just getting through it. And it was really challenging. So I remember calling some fella in the middle of the night, and all I wanted to pray for, and I prayed to the guy. I asked the guys to pray for me. Don't let me lose my faith, because I was ready to give it up. Now,
Let me just tell a part of that story, because it's like 3:30 in the morning. And Lisa and I are sleeping, right? And the phone rings. And, you know, when it's 3 o'clock in the morning and the phone rings, it's really usually never anything, not a good thing. And we were aware of what Frank was going through, but, you know, I don't think it's, you know, oh, I said this. So I grabbed the phone, and here's what I hear. I hear, don't let me lose my faith. Don't let me lose my faith. Click.
Hung up. Wow.
He doesn't. And I said, Lisa,
I don't remember calling.
It's Frank. I said, it's Frank. And he didn't ask to be cured. He didn't ask for help in any other way. He didn't ask. He was concerned that he was going to lose his faith because, as we understand it now, it's all he had. And that's all of us have, right?
Yeah.
If we don't have our faith, what else is there? So he made that call and we get the call at 3 a.m. He wouldn't even realize he was doing it. And I go, at least would say, "That's Frank."
I call. I wouldn't know what that was. Wake up. I come out of my,
Frank,
you know.
yeah. So it's
and
talking.
It was insane. But
And I wasn't the only one. He was like, you know,
Calling a bunch of people.
So, and the funny, well, you were pretty much the go-to guy, all stuff like that. And then I would call him after, you know, and he'd come over in the daytime, and I'd say, "Take me here. Don't forget about me," because you feel you're so isolated. You know, I'll tell you 2 stories about that. And go back to the prepare for me. 2 stories. My wife just told me it's not too terribly long ago, actually.
Jordan, what kind of time we at right now? Where are we?
Doing great.
We're what, 20 minutes?
She said she walked out one morning. I was on a couch, and she almost thought a stranger was sleeping on the couch. She didn't recognize me. She said she thought I didn't know the guy that was on my couch. My wife. My daughter.
You were so skinny?
I was so skinny.
Yeah.
I lost 50+ pounds. All sunken in it. Tell you a funny part about that for a second. My daughter got her first Holy Communion. No, her confirmation, I'm sorry, Angela. And we went up, and this was, you know, that, I think November sometime, early November, late October. And we're going to go to St. John's, St. Ben's. And I walk into the men's room. And my brother's standing next to me and my nephew in the urinals already. I walk up to the urinal, and I look at my brother. I go, "Hi, how you doing?" Hi, Colin. My nephew goes, "How do you know my name?" My brother looks at me. They didn't know who I was. That's how different I looked.
Wow. They didn't know
He
who
didn't
you
know
were.
who I was, right? I was thinking about going back to work. Eugene would come visit me once in a while. I said, "Eugene, do you think I should come back to work?" He said, "Depends. How bad do you want to scare your workers, your coworkers?" So I was really in bad shape. But obviously I cleared up. But going back again a little bit before that, maybe. So that was in spring of 15. In fall of 14, a bunch of crazy stuff was happening in my life and all this kind of stuff. And I said I used to go to morning. I told you guys I went to morning mass all the time. Went to morning mass. Friend of mine, he's a nice brother, too. A kid I went to high school with, good friends in high school, Jack Eland. He said, "What's going on?" I was talking to him about all the stuff's happening. And I go, "You know, I don't know." I said, I hope he's not preparing me for something really big. And Jack said, "Well, he could be."
This was before, of course, you get to
Before all
diagnose.
this stuff, I know all this kind of stuff.
Wow.
Right? So had things gone really, really good coming out of, you know, being sober. Like you hear a lot of people, like, you know, had all the things started coming back, had the world started to shine for me again in that way. One, who knows if I'd have probably got cocky again and thought I could do whatever. But I would never have been able to look for what's going, why. I know why me. It wasn't a why me. It was what are you trying to teach me? What is it that you're trying to do? What am I trying to get to? And we talked about the joy. What I used to do, Angela, I talked about this earlier, is I did a lot of reading and a lot of research on suffering and how do you give up suffering and how do you unite your suffering with Christ's suffering. I remember going into my first treatment, had my cross on, all that kind of stuff, and they're talking to me and telling me, I'm like, hey, I walk with the God of angel armies. I said, if Christ went through the Good Friday and the crucifixion, I can get through this. And the nurse, not trying to be a smart aleck, said, yeah, but he only had to do it for 3 hours.
Oh, jeez.
I should have known then what was coming. Something was coming, right? So, and I'm not comparing my suffering to Christ, please. Don't anybody take it the wrong way, right? But the bottom line is that God gave me that opportunity. He gives us opportunities. He gave me an opportunity to unite. So if you not unite with Christ in suffering, how can you possibly ever expect him to unite in the resurrection or in paradise? You can't have one without the other, right? You gotta go through what you go through to get to the other side. So, I looked at how did people become saints, and they go through all this stuff, a lot of murders, and pain, and suffering, and torture. And the gist of it was, they fear sin. They fear separation from God, which is what really sin really is, right? More than they fear suffering. They value relationship with God more than they value, I'll call it earthly peace or earthly comfort, right? So everything is geared towards that. And it really was a remarkable learning experience for me because, my wife took great care of me. She went from, that was another turning point, I think. I think she was pretty ticked off at me, and rightly so for a long time.
Yeah, we heard part one.
Yeah, right.
And kind of a thing like that. And I don't know if she thought I got to do this for this guy. I mean, it was really, it was really bad. Always sick, but she took care of me, and she ran the house, and we figured out how to get things done. And like I said, it was just a miracle.
You became the team that you never were.
And that's when totally things were out of. They could have shut my health care off any time. They could have done this. They could have done all kinds of different kinds of things, and they didn't. And
at one point, you were concerned about the house even. And stuff.
I was worried about the house being taken, and so I just got that straightened out again, and everything was going really well. And that's why, I kept saying, really, what are you doing here? And so, if there's any doubt in anybody's mind that God the Father doesn't know you intimately, doesn't ultimately want to do what's best for you. And here's what I had to learn. What's best for me when it's all said and done is eternity with God. Not a house mansion, not perfect health all the time, not, and there's people that have it way worse than I did rather, and sicker than I, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not telling them how to behave anything other than, and that's why I said, don't let me lose my faith. Keep your eye on the ball. And that's heaven. Now, bad thing about heaven is you're going to die to get there. And I think we're all a little bit, have some trepidation. We know what's going to go on there. We know what's going on there. But in some ways, that prepared me a little bit more. I know that he's there. I know that it's ultimately going to be what's good. It's just I just can't describe it. So after a while, kind of like a peace comes over you, and you just deal with it, and you just get through it. But again, had I been roaring and on top of the world and everything's wonderful and all, and I hadn't gone through learned to rely on Him daily for everything. I don't know if I'm getting a knock on the door from the sheriff. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what's happening there. I don't know what's going on. All this other kind of stuff. I don't know if I come home one day and my wife's going to be gone. All these issues and all these problems. And it's just like, okay, I can't handle this. I can't handle this stuff. You think you can. Why can't I get a job and go to work? Why can't I this? But I'll tell you what, until the doc says, you got cancer, or you got this, or you got that, you don't know what powerlessness is. You don't know what it is. Because you know what? I could have always, and I did, took part-time jobs, did this, did that, find a way around. There's help. There's different things you can rely on. That's the hardest part, right? You're done. So now, God, your will be done. Do I really mean that? Because what if God's will is time to call you home, son? Do I really mean God, your will be done? And there's a hesitation there. It's easy to say, oh, I don't know what's going to... I shouldn't say it's easy. It's never easy. It's easy to say, if I get this job, this and that and everything. But when it's your life in the balance. I can't even imagine what it would be like if it's a loved one's life in the balance. It's even harder, right? But you always pray, if your will be done. Even Christ, if there's a different way. But the prayer, the meditation, the faith, the belief that there's a purpose here. So I go through that, and I come out the other side, and I try to work for a while. Now this is, later, 2016. I'm trying to work. I couldn't work. I had the chemo brain. I had the radiation. I just couldn't concentrate. Couldn't anything like that. So I didn't go to work for probably 6-8 months. I wasn't working. So finally I said, I got to do something. So Dave Vittmeyer, the company of K7, I was 2017. I was born in 58. How old was I, Angela? You're the math guy. I was old.
Yeah.
I'm parking cars for a living. Which is nothing wrong with parking cars for a living, but it's kind of a long way.
You went from Mr. Big Shot.
I was, I was executive vice president, officer of a publicly held company, to here. And what's that? And that's God continually shaping us, getting us to where we can be with Him, getting my ego. You can do one of two things. You can fight God, dig your heels in. He'll give you what you want. And I don't want to deal with you now. I don't get to deal with them later. Or you can go, you can quit fighting Him and everyone. So I quit fighting. You're going to cure me. If you're going to take the cancer away, you take the cancer away. My cousin, she was sick. The doctor gave her 6 months. She lived for years. End of the day, and even the doctor will tell you this, it's up to God. When your time's up, your time's up. So I just go to work at this place, and speed up the story here a little bit. First day, young guys there taking care. I'll take it easy. First guy comes down, get his car. I'll get it for the old man. I'm talking to this guy, about my age, a little bit younger. He goes, yeah, my wife's going shopping in town. I'm going to work. I said, oh, where do you work? He tells me where he works. He says, oh, I know a couple people work here. He goes, oh, how do you know them? I thought I used to do this, that, and the other thing for them. He goes, really? I said, yeah, he's the CFO of this company. He said, what do you? I said, I had cancer. I couldn't work. What kind of cancer you have? I told him, because I had that kind of cancer.
What?
A little bit more. He said, why don't you give Ralph a call on Monday? Call Ralph Monday. Maybe I go to work for them.
Wow.
You're parking cars.
Park cars.
First day.
First day.
One day.
Meet this guy. Shouldn't even be there because I lucked into this great spot at this great hotel because the one kid quit. So they needed it. And, I needed someone to go in there. And they put me in. Call me. Just call us. So I call him. Within a couple of weeks, I'm working at this company. Now I'm contracting, but I'm working good money.
Still
I go
parking
from
cars?
not having anything to parking cars. It's, I'm like, this is wonderful. And get the house back on track. Everything goes great. It's all that kind of good stuff.
Hold on a second. And that's just what this is all about. What this is all about is, can anyone, when something like that happens to you, there is no explanation for how that could have happened. None, correct? Other than what you said earlier, there is a God. If you had any doubts ever, there has to be one. He has to be alive and working in my life. Otherwise, that could never have happened. Do you have any doubt at all?
None. Here's the scenario. My profession, really, I help companies hire people. Short story at the end of the day. That's what I do. It's nothing forever. Talent. I know everybody. Everybody here's to know. In this city, technology, whatever, I couldn't get a job.
Yeah.
You know everybody, and you couldn't get a job.
Yeah.
People call me up. Can you help me get a job? Yeah, help me get a job. I couldn't get a job.
But you're parking cars.
Park cars.
First day.
First day.
Whoa.
First guy. First everything.
First
Same
guy.
cancer. Do this. Do that.
CFO.
Had the same cancer.
Oh wait, and here's a good same cancer. And the reason I know this company is sometime earlier, months earlier, another guy I used to work with calls me up. I said, Frankie, I know you know everybody. What do you know about this company? I said, well, I don't know too much about that company. Because Ralph works there. I said, well, I know Ralph, but I don't know too much about him. I don't know anything like that. So when he said the name of the company, I knew right away who it was. I think about it. It's just, there's just no way
To have that kind of
that
faith.
if there isn't a God. I mean, I just don't get it, right?
Yeah.
So I was to be there. So here's something else. This job, this contracting job, what I'm doing takes me way back. Again, see, God's strengthening me.
When you say takes me
but
way back.
he's humbling me. Because some people that know me might think I still have a little bit of ego.
Really?
You never know. It's hard to believe.
Frank? For the ego.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I was, and so continually, God continually working in our lives. So I go back and I start doing this, and I'm doing pure recruiting for companies, which is something I had done years and years ago, and thought I'd grown it, and I knew everything. Remember, Bob? I was that guy. And
Frank, you.
I find I loved it. It was great. I was in a different frame of mind now. Now, I've got this company's growing. They've got this great opportunity. These people are working hard. I'm calling people up, helping them. Hey, there's a great opportunity at this company.
Key word there. You are now helping people.
Now helping people. I'm looking at it differently. I'm looking at things from a different perspective, and it's not what I do I'm helping people. This is great. I loved it. And so that job, after contracting after a while, it goes away. We all know what happens in end of 2019, 2020. We're all struggling through, but it's all good. It's good. God continues to create. He uses situations that on the surface appear to be negative to us or challenging to us or hurdles for us. But what we don't see is, there's a hurdle, but he's boosting us up over it, right? It's like, you know, I'm going to get you up here because the next one's going to be here. The next one's going to be here. Because I'm going to go all the way back to what I said at the end of the first one. I'm a soldier in God's army. I agreed when I was confirmed that I was going to spread the gospel, that I was going to live the gospel. And mine might be the only gospel that somebody else sees or understands. Thank goodness there's a lot more of me out there because don't do a great job of it, but I try to do as good a job as I can. So God puts me in a job, in a role where I finally get it, I understand it. He gives me, he takes away the alcoholic obsession. So now I can help other people in addiction, share my experience, strength, and hope with them. And now I can talk about beating cancer. I didn't beat it. He beat it. But now I can talk to people about it. And I do. I've gone back to groups and talked to them. And, you know, it's just, I don't know. It's just amazing where he's finally put me where he wants me to be. Where I finally let him, I quit fighting him. You know, and I was thinking about this real quick the other day before I lose this thought. Sometimes, and maybe all of us do this sometimes, especially me, with those 10, 12 years I talked about, I'm thinking, did I waste those years? Did I really didn't do much. Did I get anything done? No. It took him 12 years to train me. It's taken him all these years to train me for my real job. Maybe because I'm slow. Other people get it sooner. I needed it too before upside the head. What can I tell you? Right? But he got me there eventually. He never gave up on me. He never gave up on me. Right? I gave up on him, but he never gave up on me. Damn. He never gives up on me. And I say this to the simplest things, to the hardest things. With my wife, my kids, a friend, something like that. It's like, don't try to buckle down, bear it, lock yourself up. Don't do that. Don't try to get through this on your own power. You're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. You have all the power infinite that you need. When Jesus says, you have the faith to move mountains, that's what he's talking about. We have God. We can tap into an infinite power source. Now, I got to tap into it. I got to use it right. But I have it available to me. My wife, for years, and the girls were saying, didn't get it. Now she finally gets it. And others. I'm not picking on my wife. I'm the same way. I listened to a man say sometime, Bobby, if it's going to be, it's got to be me. Right? I mean, that's your famous line right there. But it's only going to be me if I'm doing what he wants. If I accept where I am at, if I'm not trying to arrange things all around. Anyway, so that goes on. So here we go. So now I get through the cancer. Everything's good. Go to the checkups. 5 years go by. 8 years go by. Everything's wonderful. So lots of stuff happens, right? So I'm to COVID lockdown. We all know. We all went through the craziness COVID lockdown. Managed to make some money throughout that. Worked for some company. At the end of that year, my mom, after lockdown, she was getting bad. So in the 2020, she was really getting bad. We were trying to get her to move in with us. She wouldn't move in with us. So Christmas morning, wanted to come up. Wanted to take her off Christmas Eve dinner. I take everybody out to the Japanese steak place. Everybody likes it. My sister. She wanted to go over there Christmas morning. So I go, well, she wasn't going to. She said, I'm not coming over Christmas. I said, well, okay, we'll see. So I go to Christmas Eve Mass. I go to Christmas Day Mass. I go to Mass every day. I go to Christmas Day Mass. And I'm a Eucharistic minister, so I used to take her Eucharist every Sunday. So I go over there on Sunday, on Christmas morning. And I opened the door to the house, and she's laying on the floor. How long you been laying there, Mom? I don't know. I know at least from yesterday morning, because that's the last time I talked to her. So she goes into St. Clair Hospital. She calls. I called her. Police come. Ambulance is coming. And she's there. I'm not going in no ambulance. I'm not going. And the cop, I know the cop. We grew up in Bowen. He says, Barb, don't make me arrest you. So we take her. She was 80. This is December 25th. She turned 89. She would have turned 89 on January 4th. She died 25th, 26th, 27th. She died December 27th from COVID. We took her to the hospital. Doc. So what was wrong with her, Doc? He said failure to thrive. She gave up. Losing my father all those years ago was bad. And then the isolation from COVID, I think it happened to a lot of old people. They felt isolated. They felt alone. They just, she wasn't eating, it's kind of thing like that. But I didn't drink. Buried my mom. The company I was doing some business with, they lost their funding. March, I run across another opportunity. A guy I went to college with has a company out in Philly. Hey, I heard you're recruiting again. I said, yeah. He goes, come work for me. It just doesn't happen, right? So I got to work for him for a while. And I'm working there I got to get a wisdom tooth pulled out. And this is my health scenarios. So I got to get this wisdom tooth pulled out. Doctor does a great job, pulls it. Well, here, if you're familiar with any of this stuff, you should, if you've had radiation treatment in here, there's a good chance if you have any dental work done on your lower jaw, it'll infect your jawbone and it won't heal. It can die. Literally, your jawbone can die. They have to replace your jawbone. So happens to 1% of the people. Hello. Why not the 1% hits the lottery, Bob? Why the 1% gets this? So I go out.
There's still time, Frank.
Still time, yeah. I hit the lottery. His name's Jesus Christ. But anyway,
I lobbed that one in for you.
Yeah, you did.
That.
You were perfect.
It was a lob.
And so I go and I got this thing. So we're gonna try all this kind of stuff. Now I'm getting intravenous IV. I got to give myself, intravenous antibiotics. I get all this kind of stuff. So this doctor, he was a really great oral surgeon. He went above and beyond. He researched it. He said, research this place. He goes, over in Europe, they're using these combinations of 3 drugs, but this one's not available in the U.S., but these 2 are. Let's try them. I start taking these drugs. It worked. It stopped the infection, cleared it up, healed it up. I was fine. After about a year, took that long time. We went in there, and he said to me, he goes, I used to come in with the rosaries. I played rosary all the time, and sometimes I wear that cross, a big cross, And he said, when I first diagnosed that, he said, there was no way I thought you were going to beat this. He goes, I thought for sure we'd be taking a piece of your jaw off. He said, I thought for sure. He said, I'm amazed. It's a miracle. I said, well, you did a great job. Pointed to the cross and the rosary. He said, no.
He said he did that.
I didn't do a good job. He did a good job.
Wow.
So it was really, I said, well, he put you in my life, right? So you got that. So that's good. So I get healed there. Now, we all know what happened to technology 2020, end of 22, beginning of 23. I'm recruiting technology people. They lose a couple contracts. Post on LinkedIn, open to work. A guy I know from 30 years ago calls me up and goes, hey, you open to work? Why don't you come up and work up here and work with us? Wow. That's where I'm at now, right? So I go up to work for Lucas Systems.
You get a call out of nowhere.
Great company. Yeah. Right? I had called him a few months earlier because I wanted to talk to him about maybe doing some work, our company doing some work for him. But I didn't really connect with him. And he's, so I go, he's there, you want to come to, he goes, you're probably used to making bigger money. I said, well, right now, if you pay me $1.50 an hour, I'm making more than I'm making now. But So yeah, so great. So he says it's just a recruiting job. I said I love it. It's what I love to do. I enjoy it. I'm loving it. So I'm doing what I love to do. I'm going up there. Great people, nice company, beautiful offices. Everything's great. Right in bed one night, reached down. I feel a little lump on my side down here, and I'm like, no, I don't think so. Right?
Oh, no.
Like, I don't think so. A couple weeks go by, it doesn't go away. I go into the doctor.
Oh.
Well, we don't think it's anything. But with your history, let's check it out. I remember talking to Clem about this coming home from the retreat. All this shit happens. I'm not going to any more major retreats. I'm kidding. I got a new job out of the North Hills. That's what the first company was. First Insight
Every
was. when
time
I
you
had
get a
the-
new
this
job,
cancer.
every time you get a new job,
Get a new job. Both of them, they're like an exit apart up on 79 North.
I don't think you're supposed to work.
It works for me. So I go in. They do. We know what we're going to do first. We're going to skip everything. We're going to do a scan with the contrast. That'll tell you if you have anything. Okay, great. I go in. Week goes by. Almost 2 weeks go by. I don't
No
hear
phone
anything.
call.
Finally get a phone call. The results are inconclusive. I said, what do you mean you're inconclusive? They don't know what it is. We're going to send you. I said, now we're going to send you for ultrasound. I said, I thought this was before. This was the voice. Yeah, I know. I don't know. And I'm like, okay. So I go. So I do the ultrasound. I come back. I said, well, yeah, it's something. We still don't know what it is. Well, this time I think they did know what it is. It was either something really, really bad, like get your affairs in order bad, kind of cancer. Not that it would have been that far along, but that kind of bad. Or it was absolutely nothing. But this went on for 2 months, 2+ months, not knowing,
Torture.
right? So in some ways it was, in some ways it wasn't.
Because you were prepared.
Because I just kept saying, make it the best it can be. What's the best outcome? And by this time, I'm a little bit ready, now I'm really kind of worried about it because in between the two, I didn't tell about the basal cell cancer they took off my nose, which is not a big thing. It's almost doctor said it's not even really cancer. It's almost like cancer. But I'm thinking, third cancer. Maybe it's the third time this year. Maybe he's calling me home. I beat the other. I got some good years. And I remember, back when I was sick, saying, let me get the girls through high school. Don't take me yet, but let me get them through the high school years. Well, my Anna graduated in 2019 from high school, right? So maybe it's time. Maybe it's taking me. So I go down to see the melanoma surgeon doctor over there, and I'm reading the stuff, and I'm going, man, I am in trouble. And he tells me, you could be in trouble, but we'll see. He said, it's definitely not this comeback. He said, it's either lymphoma, and there's dozens of different kinds of lymphoma, but it's kind of ought to be a lymphoma, or because you know why they sent me to me. I said, yeah. So I said, but I haven't had anywhere else. He goes, I don't know. He goes, that's why he goes, I don't think it is, but it's an odd place for it to be. He said, and then the other news is, he goes, even if we go in and biopsy it, we're not going to get enough biopsy to tell what kind of a lymphoma it is, if it's a lymphoma. So we're going to have to go in and have surgery, and that causes all kinds of problems there. That's not a great place to be. And I'm sitting there going to him, Doc, you're killing me, right? But I'm smiling. I got this cross on, and I'm going, all right, go in there. Best it can be, right? I go in, they do the biopsy, get a call. Great news, we got enough. You don't have to go back. We'll let you know what it is. So I don't hear nothing. Now, this all happened end of April, started. It's now the end of June.
This year.
No, back then, this is a couple of years ago. Back when I reckon I first started in 23 out at Lucas. Probably called the doctor. I go, hey, I haven't heard anything. He goes, I haven't called you. I said, no. He goes, oh, he goes, you're fine. He goes, you're lymphoma. I said, wait. I said, that's a little bit of a contradiction, isn't it? You're fine lymphoma. He goes, yeah. He goes, but the kind of lymphoma you have, it's next to nothing compared to what it could be. He goes, I know it sounds strange to tell you, it's good news, it's lymphoma, but compared to what it could be, even the different kinds of lymphoma can be bad. He said it's non-aggressive. He said we're going to give you 12 radiation treatments, and that should take care of it. I said, why have radiation in my neck? He goes, well, this is a different area. Don't worry about it. You'll be okay. It's nothing like that. I said, okay. So I did 12 radiation treatments, and it went away. The hardest part of that was you're going to do it with a full bladder, where it is. So if anybody, if you're a man and you have prostate cancer, you have this kind of cancer, or anything like that, that's the toughest. That's the toughest thing. You gotta go to the bathroom, and you gotta keep it full. So, but I'm thinking to myself, as that's going on there, I'm thinking, what is this? You know, but God, so I got through it, and it's okay. Right? I didn't even tell the kids about it. I was like, it's all right, you know. But what it does, and what AA was able to do, and what all this stuff's going to be able to do, and what I think he's trying to tell me is, over all this time, you have a purpose. You're one of my messengers. First half of my life, I was a messenger. I was, do not do this. Do the opposite of this. This half is like, you're a messenger. Tell people that I can get them through bad times. Tell people that my son's here to save you, all of you. Tell people. And then the other thing is, this is great. Life is wonderful. It's a gift. It's beautiful. I love it. But this ain't all there is. I got something even bigger in store for you. Each time, something bigger in store for you. You know, there's something to be said for beating those diseases coming out the other side. It gives you a sense of, right? And you get to and so you've got this. I still have work for you to do here, right? I got a purpose for you. But, and you say this whole time in a different way, deal with what's right in front of you. Make plans, sure, but don't make outcomes. Don't have expectations. Deal with what's right in front of you. Live today. Live in a moment. So, new prayer. Don't regret the past. Don't worry about the future. And when you live in the present, don't be too self-absorbed. Make it all about me. Make it about the person in front of you. So that's what I try to do. I'm a C+ student, but I'm getting better.
So two things to put a wrap on part 2, right? Two things. Two questions. One, if you don't get a 2x4 in the face, back in the Mr. Big Shot Frank days of you knew all the answers and you're with the alcohol and the whole thing, if you don't have that in your life, do you ever get through?
No.
Cancers? Do you ever get through?
Because my mother was one of those mothers that was a little bit of a hypochondriac, and she, and back in the day, and I've lived through my biggest fears, and getting cancer was one of them. I would have had. So
you were prepared.
They'd have had to put me on Ativan when they told me I had cancer. I'd have freaked out. I'd have gone crazy. I wouldn't have known what to do. And I wouldn't have been able to get through the treatment because I wouldn't have had that relationship with God. I wouldn't have known to go to Him. I wouldn't have known that He would there. I just wouldn't. I didn't have that relationship.
Well, we always say, and almost everyone that's ever done one of the podcasts so far has said, if you don't have faith, it's impossible to really have hope, right? And if you didn't develop your faith through all of those cancers and all of those situations, you would have had no hope. You would have given up. I mean, you would just given up. Am I putting words in your mouth,
no,
or is that the truth? And today, haven't you found that? And I think all of us have found this. The thing that makes you the happiest of all is when you're helping other people.
Absolutely.
There's more satisfaction to helping other people than helping yourself. And it's hard to explain to anyone that, because you've been Mr. Big Shot, I've been Mr. Big Shot, he's been Mr. Big Shot, and all of us thought, look at me. And in reality, the best thing ever is helping somebody else. It's just insane how much more satisfaction there is to that.
So there's a thing in AA, there's one alcoholic talking to another. We help each other, the fellowship of AA, and the steps, all that kind of stuff. But because of that, there's been psychiatrists and other doctors and things like that. How does that work? Why does it seem to work? Well, they did a lot of studies, and I'm sure they did studies for other reasons as well about this, but it's a medical fact
Dr. Ruggieri.
that your brain, when you're helping somebody, is releasing those pleasure-building chemicals, whatever they dopamine and different things like that. So it's when you help somebody else, you actually do feel better. It's real. It's not, it's obviously spirituality, but it's real. And yeah, it's like, so I think it's taught me to just, like I said, live each day as it comes. You guys know this, the Serenity Prayer. We say Serenity Prayer a lot in AA, but there's a second part to that a lot of people don't say. There's wisdom to know the difference. There's a part after that. And I don't have it completely memorized, but there's a part of it that says, help me to take each day at a time, taking obstacles and the roadblocks as he did, one day at a time, not having this world as I would have it, but as he would have it, so that I can be somewhat happy now and supremely peaceful with him at the end. So, yeah, it's a journey, man.
Hey,
We're still
Angelo?
on it.
Just thank you for sharing it, and I think it's going to help me to be hopefully a little bit better, a little bit closer to God in everything that I do. So thank you for that.
So there's no doubt there is a God.
No doubt.
As far as I'm concerned, there's not.
And because of the affirmations that you have had in your life, nobody can ever take your faith away, because it's just impossible to explain any other way. And hopefully anybody that's watching, the whole purpose of this, all these podcasts, is so that you have your own affirmations, that the kind of things that Frank went through could only happen to him. When you were diagnosed with your cancer and you heard somebody else's miracle, that's nice. That's nice. But if you don't have your own miracle, your own faith, your own affirmation, and you're in trouble, it's kind of like not meaningful at all. So that's why what we're trying to do here is to get people to understand what you went through, how you found God, so that they can find God in their own way, have their own miracles and affirmations, so they can have the faith that you have.
If you remember, during the worst times of my treatment, right after it was done, leading into December, I led at a retreat. I did the trust talk. I didn't want to do the trust talk. I could barely go to the planning meetings. I couldn't talk. I couldn't do anything. But the guy that led that retreat was insistent that I was doing it. I slept through most of it. I had that suit on. I swam in that suit. I walked up the end and I gave that trust talk. The reason I mentioned that, I've given it a couple times, I think it was because I had to learn to trust them. I always say that about the Emmaus retreats. You give the LGT that you need to give, not that they need to hear that you need to give. So I would say, yes, I believe in God, but I believed in God before. I trust in God. I know he knows what's best for me better than I do. And I know he wants what's best for me more than I do. And he'll give me what's best for me if I let him. That's what you have to get to. That's what I had to get to. The trust that it's supposed to be, right? I mean, something, you're driving down the road, you get a flat tire. Why me? I just, from the easiest stuff like that, the simplest stuff like that, to something so serious as, a loved one getting sick, or you getting sick, or dying, whatever. And it's just, and people always say, why does God make bad things? We make the bad things happen. Not him. We do. by our selfishness. Why is there hunger in the world? Because there's selfish people in the world. Duh. Anyway.
Amen.
Amen.
So let's close it out with a prayer.
Prayer, absolutely, Frank.
It's your prayer.
Father, and Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Lord God, our Father, we come to you with praise and thanksgiving, and it seems so insufficient to offer you praise. You need our praise not, but it does us good to praise you. And thanksgiving, how can I begin to thank you for your love, your mercy, your blessings, your being? All things flow through you. You've brought us here together. You've given us all experiences. You've given me experiences. You've blessed me with the ability to share the miracles that you've given in my life and the hope that it can help someone else. And I just pray, Lord, that the person that needs to hear that hears it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Hey, if you've had your own personal affirmations, you've had your own God incidences, we'd love to hear about them. You go to Reaching for Answers, the Road from Emmaus, our website. You can contact us through the website. We'd like to thank Rhino Productions, whose facilities that we use, who have given us these facilities to use. And we'd like to thank them for making this all possible. We'd like to thank Jordan, who's our producer, that donates his time and does all this beautiful work for us. We'd like to thank you for reaching for answers. See you next time.